It is not a new thing for some players of any sport to be given more credit than is due. In the NBA, one player who was once hyped to be the next LeBron James might be the most overrated in the history of the NBA. Watch this video for details and to see some of the most overrated NBA players of all time. First up is Ben Simmons, the most overrated NBA player ever. On Monday night, Ben Simmons fouled out once more. In his first 3 games with the Brooklyn Nets, he's been fouled out twice and has nearly as many fouls as points. In his first 3 games, Simmons has racked up 17 points, 14 fouls, 18 rebounds, and 21 assists. This is the LSU graduate who was once hailed as the next LeBron James, who once suggested that Simmons might be superior to him. Simmons is at best the most overrated number 1 overall draft pick in the last 20 years, despite early career accolades. Simmons' NBA career got off to a rocky start as he missed the early part of the 2016-17 season due to a foot ailment. After making his formal debut the following year, he won Rookie of the Year and was included on the All-Rookie team in 2018. Ben had a successful first 2 years of his career, and it appeared like he was destined for greatness. The former LSU Tiger reached his scoring high in his second season, averaging just under 17 points per game, along with 8.8 rebounds and 7.7 assists. Lest we forget, Simmons failed to lead the team to the NCAA tournament. Since his second year, he has gradually gotten worse in every category. At the trade deadline in February, Simmons was sent from Philadelphia to Brooklyn after sitting out the previous season. Sometimes, a player can be given the benefit of the doubt when they enter a league with the kind of hype that Simmons had. The LeBron James and Simmons parallels occurred when the NBA was starting to look ahead. The same thing happened with James when they searched for a replacement for Michael Jordan. It would help if you had an apparent heir to the throne in a league based on star power. Simmons ought to have received that torch by this time, but that's no longer a possibility. It's great that he has earned All-Star, All-NBA, and All-Defensive honors, but is there anything about Ben's game that has improved since he started playing in the NBA? Not at all. James added more elements to his game each year and continued to advance. The same is true of Magic Johnson, to whom Simmons was also first linked. The former Sixer peaked in his second year and has since fallen off significantly. That is a fact rather than just an opinion. The most talented player in the world, Simmons seems more interested in being a famous athlete than improving as a player. Perhaps he has a mental issue. If that's the case, I would sincerely understand it and buy it. Despite this, there isn't a single aspect of Simmons' game that has improved over the past 7 years since his debut in 2017. But not everything is Ben's fault. The people who started drawing similarities between LeBron and Magic are mostly to blame. That might have raised the bar for Simmons to a point where he could never have lived up to it. Not because he lacked talent, but because he has never seemed like he cared about becoming great. Without binoculars, you could see Simmons' talent from 2 towns away. He is that talented. But eventually, you need something inside of you to step in and drive you over that. Next up, some of the most overrated NBA players ever. First is Ralph Sampson. Ralph Sampson, a 7'4" wonder who won 3 consecutive National Player of the Year titles at the University of Virginia following a storied prep career, was expected to revolutionize basketball. The benchmark was set at levels equal to those of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain. Sampson was selected first overall by the Houston Rockets in 1983, although he only played in the NBA for 8 seasons. After 4 seasons, Sampson was traded by the Rockets because they had grown weary of his inability to get along with Hakeem Olajuwon in the frontcourt. He bounced around 3 teams for the rest of his career, never averaging double-digit scoring per game. Next is Joe Johnson. The 6-year, $123.7 million contract Joe Johnson signed with the Atlanta Hawks in 2010 that made him the highest-paid player in the history of the NBA defines Joe Johnson's career for the organization, not for him. And considering that he had never even advanced to the conference finals, that wasn't too bad. Johnson's statistics significantly fell off throughout the postseason, with his numbers being reduced in half on many occasions. His failure to involve teammates, as seen by his career average of 3.9 assists per game, was a fatal shortcoming that characterized his style of play. Next is Pete Maravich. No player ever received more praise for making baskets without the corresponding wins than Pistol Pete, if you can look past Pete Maravich's gaudy stats. In college, he averaged 44.2 points per game while playing for his father at LSU, although he never advanced to the NCAA tournament. Only twice in his 10 NBA seasons, including his final campaign in 1980 with the Boston Celtics and star player Larry Bird, did Maravich play on winning teams and reach the playoffs. Mitch Richmond was another overrated player. We can all ponder how Mitch Richmond ended up in the Hall of Fame after looking at his Hall of Fame career. In the 1990s, he played most of his most significant years on some terrible Kings teams. Despite being somewhat challenging, he increased his scoring totals but managed to provide nothing else on the court besides rebounds or assists. Richmond only participated in the playoffs 4 times in its first 14 seasons. One of them was his final season, 2002, when he averaged barely 4 minutes per game while winning his only NBA championship with the Lakers. Derek Coleman is another. Derek Coleman won the Rookie of the Year award in 1991, participated in 1 All-Star game throughout his career, and managed to win only a few rounds despite frequently being one of the highest-paid players in the league. Teams Coleman played on in 15 NBA seasons made the playoffs 7 times, but only once got past the first round, in 2003, when he was a member of the Allen Iverson-led 76ers. Coleman exited in disgrace after being cut by the Pistons, while also being suspended for the infamous Malice at the Palace altercation in 2004. Carmelo Anthony was another overrated NBA player. In just 1 season of collegiate basketball, Carmelo Anthony made a name for himself by leading Syracuse to the 2003 national championship. He is also legendary because of his 3 gold Olympic medals. The story of his NBA career has been different. Anthony has consistently and dramatically underperformed at each turn along the way. Only twice in his 17 seasons has Anthony advanced past the first round of the playoffs, and he has never reached the NBA Finals. Next is Anthony "Penny" Hardaway. Few NBA careers have ever begun with a kind of locomotive steam that Penny Hardaway's did. In his first 5 seasons after receiving All-American recognition at the University of Memphis, Hardaway was a 4-time All-Star, an Olympic gold medalist, and a participant in the NBA Finals. And that's when he started having problems. Hardaway missed 496 regular season games across 14 NBA seasons. That equates to just a little bit more than 6 complete seasons. After 1998, when he signed his first sizable free agent contract with the Suns, he also failed to make another All-Star squad. Eddie Curry was also overrated. In 2003, Scott Skiles, a former head coach of the Chicago Bulls, was questioned about what Eddie Curry should change to become a stronger rebounder. Curry's career was then encapsulated in a single word. Curry entered the NBA in 2001 straight out of high school, earning slightly over $69 million throughout 11 seasons. Despite receiving about $10 million annually after being traded to the New York Knicks, he consistently showed up to camp out of condition. Curry played in just 1 postseason game in 2012, the lone season that he and the Heat won the NBA championship. There's also Kyrie Irving. There's no questioning Kyrie Irving's brilliance. The 6-time All-Star is capable of almost anything on a basketball court. What makes him so overrated is what he does to teams outside of games. Having Irving on the team seems like a sure way to destroy chemistry. Even in 2016, when he played a supporting position to LeBron James and the Cavaliers and won a championship, Irving couldn't stand not being the clear leader and forced his way out a year later. He outstayed his welcome and alienated coaches and teammates in just 2 seasons with the Celtics. He is currently a net in Brooklyn. How that turns out will depend on time. Some of the other overrated players in NBA history include Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis, Blake Griffin, Tracy McGrady, Glenn Robinson, Antoine Walker, Darko Milicic, Yao Ming, Eric Dampier, Richard Jefferson, Jason Williams, Brian Grant, Keith Van Horn, Monte Ellis, and Patrick Ewing. The list continues. We've come to the end of the video. What other sport and topic would you like us to feature? Kindly inform us in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe.